Carl and Damon here from Brrraains A Head-Banging Life. gbhblofficial for short. And it's they made what into a movie as we return to the Tomb Raider franchise for the second of Angelina Jolie's Tomb Raider movies. This is Lara Croft, Tomb Raider, The Cradle of Life, the 2003 action-adventure film directed by Jan de Bont, screenplay by Dean Gregorius, and a story by Stephen E. D'Souza and James V. Hart. Of course, this is based upon the Tomb Raider franchise, although if you expect a tomb raiding in this one, you're not getting much of that.
Nope.
It is also a sequel to the 2001 film Lara Croft Tomb Raider. So, we have done an episode on that, go back and watch it. And you'll notice in that was a first time watch for me and you.
Yep.
And it was alright. It was alright.
Yep.
There were things I enjoyed a lot about it. I kind of enjoyed the silly cheesiness of it, and it kind of tied in nicely to the old way that Tomb Raider used to be.
Yep, definitely. So
So there was nothing really like too negative to say about that specific movie. That though created a problem for me. It created a big problem for me. Is I now went into this one with a little bit of a hope. Yeah. I went in thinking, okay, this will be at least half decent. You know.
Yeah.
Admittedly, when I looked at the cast, I got a little bit. My hope dropped a little bit because an actor that I personally think is terrible is in it, and that was a big. I'll tell you what. I want to go for the cast. I'll point out who that person is. But that was a real big concern of mine. It was nice to see some names on there that had been in the first film, but disappointingly, they're barely in it.
I know. What was the point?
Yep, what is the point exactly? And I came away thinking this film was. I came away thinking it was bad. I didn't like it. I thought it was dull.
Yeah.
I thought it was too long. I thought the story, right, was nonsensical. I thought it went too over the top.
Yeah, there's a lot of things. I thought the CGI was terrible. I thought some of the stunts were completely pointless.
Yeah,
God.
God.
Right at the very start, why has she got to do a backflip and a fucking scooter?
Because she's Lara Croft, isn't it?
But then when she's like trying to get the first, I'm going to call it the Apple of Eden.
Right, the orb,
yeah.
yep.
Yeah, because that's what it reminds me of.
Yep.
She starts doing some weird
roll, right?
Why?
Yeah,
I don't get that.
Every time it seemed like they were like, okay, Angelina, we want you to do this move or this stunt in a way that makes you look super athletic, rather than just sometimes doing a normal thing. And what you're referencing is when she's at the top of this kind of like device to get this orb, and it's a thin bar. Rather than sort of shuffle along, she rolls head over, but keeps her legs really split wide. And it's A, designed to look how sexy.
Exactly, yeah.
But also, like, look how athletic. But all like I said, I watched that as well and went, huh? That seems unnecessarily complex way to do it.
I just
you
think,
know?
like I said, I do believe it is because of that, like you said, to show off her body.
Of course, I mean, that thing is, I can't be too mad about that because the first film did that. Angelina Jolie is an attractive woman. She's up for it, they're up for it, why wouldn't you do it? In fact, never forget that Angelina Jolie wanted to show a bit more body in the original, if you remember that, and they cut bits out of it. So we're going to talk you through the film as per usual, but quickly the cast. Said several times, Angelina Jolie as Lara Croft, her last outing in the... so what outfit does Lara Croft wear? The shorts, but then she's never in that outfit in this film at all. No. Kieran Hines as Dr. Jonathan Rice, the main villain of this. People might know him best now from Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
I think he played one of like the Wildings leaders or something like that. Gerard Butler as Terry Sheridan. There it is. Look, if you like him, cool. I think he sucks. I think the only thing I've seen him in that I liked was 300, but it wasn't because of him. I do not care for Gerard Butler. And spoilers, I think he's the worst thing about this movie. But we'll get into why.
Yeah, I agree.
For the record, I want to put this out right now. This is not Jolie's best work. I think she seems bored a lot of the time throughout it. Kieran Hines, who's a good actor as well, he's not in it enough to get any kind of meat to his character. Chris Barry as Hillary. Yay. For all you Red Dwarf fans, he does return. He gets one scene that I liked. Beyond that, this is a waste of time of him being in it. The same goes for Noah Taylor as Bryce, reprising his role. Both of these characters have a handful of scenes, mainly there for exposition and a joke or two.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. And then we've got Jamon Hansa as Kosu. He appears at the end of the film. Till Schweiger as Sean. So this was a funny one for me. I was really struggling. I was like, Till Schweiger, how do I know your name? Why have I watched something with you recently in it? Then it hit me. Oh my god, it's one for the future. But one of the last written video game movie adaptions I wrote was for Far Cry, the Yui Ball adaptation of Far Cry. Guess who plays the lead in that? Til Schweiger.
Okay.
So yeah, that I hate it. I hated it. It's a Yui Ball movie. Of course, it was going to be terrible. Yeah. Simon Yam as Chen Lo, and Terrence Yin as Zen Lo. So that's the two Chinese brothers part of the gang. I added them because what I thought was a minor role for one of them was in a minor role, but the other I think has a bit more of a significant role. Yeah. So it was worth mentioning. This movie, it's nearly 2 hours long. As soon as I saw that runtime, I went, "Oh, you are kidding me!"
Yeah, same as me. I first saw it, I was like, "Oh god, here we go."
It's just too long already. Had a budget of 95 million and was successful. 160.1 million return overall. However, it fell far short of the 260 odd million that the first film did. Was still a commercial success, but not as big as the last one.
Doesn't surprise me, to be fair.
Well, weirdly enough, critically, this film is considered to be better than the first. Critically. I mean, that's an opinion. Opinions are opinions, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
It is that. The plans were actually made for a sequel, a third film. But Angelina Jolie said she didn't want to do the role anymore. So they just shelved it and cancelled it completely.
I suppose she didn't want to be typecasted, I suppose.
I understand. Well, I mean, it's Angelina Jolie. She has plenty of roles and all that. And I was kind of like, oh, you know what? Would have been cool if this was like a trilogy. Because there is a hint towards how the first one's about life, this one's about death. And then you can have a third one that was maybe on a bigger scale of combining the two.
Could have it, yeah.
You know, I thought that would have been interesting, but you know, it doesn't really matter. By 2003, Tomb Raider as a franchise didn't quite have the luster it would have, and we wouldn't get the reboots, the reimaginings for a good few years. And obviously, that is completely different to the Tomb Raider that we grew up with.
Yep.
Yeah. So the movie opens showing a big wedding on the island of Santorini Island in Greece. You're like, who are all these people? I'm expecting, waiting for it to cut to Croft there as a guest or something like that.
That's what I thought, like she's there for something like a bridesmaid or something.
Yeah, something like that. Do you mean a friend and a family, that kind of thing? But the wedding is actually interrupted by an earthquake, and that just leads us to the opening titles. And I was immediately like, all right, well, all right, fine. Yep. Yeah, what are we doing here? I don't really, don't follow, but that's fine. As we then cut to sometime after, seeing treasure hunters from around the world who have arrived at the site of this earthquake, which is supposedly uncovered a hidden temple, and basically that temple smashed apart, and all its artifacts are underwater. So people are pulling them out of the water.
Very convenient.
Oh, of course it's convenient, but it's a movie.
So how stupid I was in the shit this opening scene here. Okay?
Go
on. At first I thought that is everything vibrating because of the DJ's music?
Oh my God! Wow!
And then when I realised it was an earthquake, I was like, "Oh, okay, I'm an idiot."
Yes, that's pretty dumb. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, it's not. I mean, it happens all the time when severe earthquakes happen and uncover things that were hidden once upon a time. Of course, along comes Lara on a jet ski, showing off her talents. Yeah, I don't get it either, you know. She's got two men waiting for her to boat, or a group of men waiting on the boat, and they're like, oh, where is she? Oh, everyone's getting the treasure. By the time she comes, it'll be too late and all that. And then she comes in a jet ski in a, skimpy outfit, and basically does some really close calls around a boat, including flipping on the jet ski, splashing them with water, because they keep cutting back to them going, whoa, radical dude. I don't say that, but it sounds like they should say that, you know? Yeah. Anyway, they're basically her goons. I'll admit, I thought they were going to be more important characters, so it was quite a surprise when in 10 minutes' time, they're killed off. Yep. But here's the thing. At this stage, I wasn't out. I'll tell you, there was a point in this movie coming up quite early in a bit where my wife was sitting over there, I'm sitting here watching it, and I took my headphones off, and I said to her, I have a favourite kind of meme, as it were. You know Seinfeld, the show?
Yep.
So Jerry Seinfeld, in that, there's a meme where... And it's kind of a gif where, I don't know, he's at a theatre show, I've never seen it, but he kind of just, whatever's so bad, that he does this, hands up, and then just gets up with a face like, I'm out, I'm done. That is my thing, and I did that when it got to this certain point. Not yet, I'll explain when we get there. Anyway, she gets aboard, talks to these goons, because I'm calling them goons. Even though they're not bad guys, they're still freaking goons. Because they're unimportant. I didn't even bother learning their names. I know they're said, but I didn't learn anything.
I actually, the first thing I thought when I started the story, I thought, you know, okay, so which one of you is a traitor?
Is going to betray her.
Yes.
Exactly that. That's how,
thought,
yeah. So I guess props for originality. Or not being predictable, I guess, to a degree. I mean, let's be fair, right? This movie overall is not predictable. It's very hard to work out where it's going to go. You can't sit there and go, well, this is going to happen, that's going to happen, and this is going to happen. I will give it props on that. On the flip side of that, but that's because a lot of the time it's nonsensical. That's the only thing that goes against it. But anyway, she gets aboard, and then she basically, because she's so smart and she's got computers and shit, she reveals that the earthquake basically changed the currents. And the temple, which is the lunar temple built by Alexander the Great to house his most prized possessions, is now in a different location. They're following the currents. People are following the currents, but a new reading showed the currents were going in a new direction, shifted by the earthquake, and that's where they should be looking. So, of course, hey, lucky us. They dive, they find a temple, and here was a moment where my brain just went, what? And it's those dumb things. So, you know, we get a shark jump scare, CGI shark comes out.
Yeah.
What does that shark do that sharks don't do?
It left him.
No. That's fine. Sharks can be scared too. Initially scared it might recover and then come back. That kind of thing. No. It does something even dumber. It growls.
Oh, okay. No. I must have missed that.
It growls at them. Oh, it will do it again. And then it goes away. Inside the temple, which is, you know, I'm like, alright, sweet, this is Tomb Raider stuff. Yep. In fact, the game Tomb Raider Underworld, if I'm correct, doesn't that begin with a diving sequence to an underground temple?
Yeah.
So I was totally on board. I was like, sweet, this is what I want. I don't get me wrong, I do not demand or expect my Tomb Raider film to have constant tomb raiding temple shit. It doesn't work that way, of course, but I was at least pleased we started that way. And I liked the set. I thought it looked significant, particularly the amount of water. Like, the filming in it must have been interesting and difficult.
Yeah, it looked good. So the water, even the old style, the way they light the lights up.
Yeah, the pillars, everything.
The
It looks good.
Yeah.
It does look good. It made me feel at home, like I was watching a sequel to the first film.
Yep.
But they've actually been followed. While they're celebrating and so on, this is where Lara sees the medallion that's inside the chest of the thing. She goes to get it, but then they're all distracted by an orb that lights up when the sunlight hits it or a light hits it. And that's what they want. That's where Lara does that weird split-legged roll thing on the top.
Yep.
It really bothered you, that one, didn't it?
Yeah, because it's just completely pointless. You know, I know she's obviously a lovely, attractive lady, but come on, man. Yeah.
But they've actually been followed. They've been followed into the temple by members of the Chinese syndicate Shailing, namely the two leaders, which are two brothers, Chen Lo and Zhen Lo. Lara and her companions find the orb, but and when Lara gets her hands on it, it seems to have a pattern that resembles a code. So you kind of know this is an important thing in relation to the film. But the Shailing attack and kill Lara's companions. I was like, all right, guess they weren't that important.
Yep.
All right, fair enough. Steal the orb and the medallion, and the temple begins to collapse around them. It's a decent, I think overall it's a decent enough action sequence.
Yes, yeah.
Because of how things, the temple, like when we say collapses, I mean it starts to break apart and shift and move, and like bits are collapsing underneath people, and there's water bursting in. It's a whole good thing, and it looked like everybody got kind of wet. And I'd imagine there weren't many retakes of this because of the difficulty in doing it.
I mean, the first 10-15 minutes are okay, apart from the stupid stunts.
Yeah, but even that you can kind of forgive because it's...
That's picking. That's
nitpicking.
Yeah. But I mean, it's been a pretty solid start, I think. For the first,
Yeah, same. I'm agreed. I'm on board at this stage. Lara escapes into the water, but obviously deep under the water, nowhere near a boat. She's in a bit of trouble, so she comes up with the idea of cutting her arm. Cutting her arm to get the attention of the nearby shark, which has been hanging around, I guess, hoping it'd come back and take a munch. It smells the blood in the water. And remember I said, people, I'm out. This was it. This was the moment where, you're joking, right? The shark comes towards her. Lara punches it. Oh, it comes towards her, growling and hissing as well. Yep. Sharks don't growl or fucking hiss. But what does she do? she punches it in the nose. And I just went, yo, come on, man. She punches in the mouth, and it even goes like, oh, what happened there? Like it's shocked, like its nose is like its eyes are watering or something like that. Having disorientated, she then grabs its fin, the one on its back, and uses that to get closer to the surface.
Like to ride it.
It's too dumb. It's too dumb.
It is too dumb.
I could almost believe, right? I would happily go along with. She cut her arm, waited till the shark came close, quickly moved out of its mouth, and then grabbed onto its fin.
Yep.
I would buy that. It was the punching in the nose part.
Yep.
It was just too much, man. I was like, whoa.
I know Lara fights bloody tigers and dinosaurs and all that in the games, but come on, man.
She shoots them. She shoots them.
Yeah, she shoots them.
That's the thing, you know. And yeah, I guess you could say, well, like, you know, the games are dumb as well, but this isn't a game, it's a movie. And what's really odd, right, is that I think they're overdoing Lara's badassness here. Punching sharks in the face is over the top. It is over the top to show how much of a badass she is. But as this film will go on, I think this film will then turn into making her seem so ordinary. It's actually shocking.
Yes.
In regards, you know, and I think we'll get to that when we get to the introduction of the character and how ill-advised it is for me personally. She gets to the surface, exhausted. She clings onto a piece of handy driftwood, part of a boat, which was lucky that was there. I didn't quite get this, so I'm going to presume the Shailene sunk the boat before they dove.
That's what I presume too, yeah.
Yeah, it had to be. But she activates the tracker. Alone at sea, time seems to pass, and it doesn't look good as something rises below her. And we're continuing this, I guess, over the topness of it, because what rises above her, below her? A submarine.
Submarine, yeah.
And I was like, huh? And you know, she's rolling down it and she's on it. And then she's lifted out of water on top of it. So safe now. And we see it's being piloted or driven by some of Lara's people, which includes Hilary and Bryce, who first arrival doesn't even get like a clear shot of them. They're like, it's them just walking along the submarine. And I guess it wasn't actually them.
Yeah, can't have been.
And the voiceover, because you hear a voiceover of them making like puns and jokes. Yep. I don't know. This is like, so we had this kind of like, oh, okay. And I really wasn't too sure like where we were going to go from here. This felt so over the top. It felt like, well, we've now got to go back, right?
I mean, again, I'm nitpicking, yeah, but obviously she was in the water for what, 3 days? No sharks.
Supposedly.
No sharks killed her. No sharks came and bit her legs. The shark she punched didn't come back.
Yeah, it's...
You know, I know it's being... I know it's a film, you know, but...
No, we're here to nitpick. This is literally what this is. All this part from when she escaped the temple up into being rescued by the submarine really, really dropped this movie down in my estimation. Really quickly.
There was no need for this part at all.
Well, I mean, we needed something, but I feel like they didn't need to go in such an over-the-top way.
All they had to do was like, she gets out of the water, she pushes the beacon, Hillary and...
Fly in?
They got a helicopter.
Yeah, who were like nearby at an island. The island that had the earthquake, waiting for her, in case, for her tracker to come and save her. Anyway, cut to a load of business people in the sky. In particular, the notable one here is Jonathan Rice, who reveals in a very talky way that he makes diseases for people to use as weapons. So he's a bioterrorist. However, he points out to these people, who are all basically rich and famous, dangerous, but not necessarily famous, rich people who buy these weapons from him.
Yep.
It's all gone very Resident Evil here. He points out, though, that the weapons are curable and Mother Nature often finds a way to get around diseases. Fair point. I don't mind that as a solid little thing.
Yep.
While this is happening, one man starts to choke, and Reese reveals that he poisoned him, as he had reported Reese to MI6. Okay, that's fine. It shows this is fine because it shows Reese is uncompromising and brutal when it comes to this man's death as well. Reese reveals that he gave him an accelerated version of Ebola. I was a bit like, how accelerated?
Yeah.
Like, Ebola's a bad disease, a killer disease in itself, but like, this guy drinks a drink and then is dead 30 seconds later. Yeah. Okay, all right. He gives the rest the antidote and they all take it. I thought that was a weird scene. I couldn't understand it because, like, he gives them all one. He pauses, looks at his watch, like, and then takes it and then they all follow suit. And I was like, does that mean all her drinks were poisoned?
That's what I thought. Like, is he like trying to, I don't know, intimidate him? You know, like, you're all poisoned. You've got 30 seconds to live.
No, because he does it for himself. He looks and then drinks it himself.
I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know either. My only other guess would be that it was like a vaccine for any potential strain that they get in the future.
Yep.
So okay, well, guess we'll just never. Because one of the annoying things about this, right, is we never see like how Reese is able to fund such an incredible operation. Because we're not talking about creating weapons of mass destruction, bioweapons. We're talking about also creating vaccines and stuff for that. But we never really get an idea of where that level of money and that like location. Or we'll go to some labs in Shanghai later on. But that's not enough to convince me that this guy's operation is this big.
I don't presume that obviously like he's been a major investment from other people. But
Well, presumably these people have invested, right?
Of course.
But then, surely then if they have invested, then their return on investment would be the diseases. Not for him, as he will now reveal, that he has a new disease, one that is apparently incurable, and he'll give it to them upon payment of $100 million each in his bank account. It's like, well, that's not an investment then, because then you're having to buy it off him. Do you see what I mean?
Yep, true.
It's odd. Anyway, so this incurable disease apparently is going to come from the orb. We still don't know the full details about that. Don't worry, we'll get to that in a bit as Reese is to meet Chen Lo to get the orb in a handover. Cut the Croft Manor. And Croft is training with Hillary with some sticks or whatever. Bang, 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 bang. That's basically Hillary's major scene in this film.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't really get it though. Like, I don't get why... Right, what was weird, right? And these are the weird moments of this film. He is able to hold his own with Laura for longer than I would have expected.
Yeah.
Which again, you're like, okay, well that makes her look a bit ordinary. But why does he start to get angry with her?
Yeah, it's a bit of a weird because he's a butler, but anyway, really.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand he'd have some skills, and we kind of saw that with the shotgun. Put it this way, contrast this scene to him calmly getting out of bed in the first film, calmly getting his shotgun, and just going out there and blowing away fools.
You're saying this is his best scene. My favourite scene is the ending, actually.
Right, well, I hate that personally, but...
No, not the whole wedding bit, the whole thing where when he jumps the back and he goes, run! I was like, yeah, rumor.
Okay, okay.
It sounded like rumor then, but...
Anyway, they get visited by MI6, but not before. This is where this film's length is unnecessary. We cut to Lara riding side saddle as well, because she's a lady, get it?
Yep.
Lady Croft, because everybody calls her Lady Croft in this as well. She's riding side saddle and shooting targets with a bloody shotgun, which I'm really surprised didn't spook the shit out of that horse.
Exactly.
But yeah, because we need to see Lara doing stuff like that.
Again,
I don't know.
It's to make her look sexy.
I don't know. I don't think this was make her look sexy because it doesn't look that way. Because she's wearing riding gear. I think it's to make her look like a badass. Like, and that's odd because you go from the Hillary stick scene to this one. You're like, calm down. We get it. We know. We watched the first fucking film.
Exactly. Yeah.
God. Anyway, she arrives back home at the MI6 there, and these MI6 people couldn't be more British. I half expected them to go, what? Most unorthodox. A woman?
Yep.
What? It's that level of stupid Britishness.
Proper,
that even getting, Her Majesty instructs you.
No.
And it's like, shut up, you fucking prick. You sound like an idiot.
Yeah, it's proper, yeah.
British people don't sound like that.
Nope.
You know, listen to us. Even though technically I'm Irish, but there you go.
Yeah.
Anyway, MI6 reveal what they know about the Shailing, Chen Lo, and Reese. Massive exposition dump.
Yep.
It's just exposition dump galore. They're aware that Reese is a bioterrorist and Chen has the orb. And apparently, because Lara now joins in with exposition, this seems to link to Pandora's box, which of course is a mythological object from ancient legends that supposedly contains a deadly plague. A companion to the origin life itself in a mythical place called the Cradle of Life. Wow! All of this is dumped on us within 2 minutes. It's too much.
Yeah, it's too much information, and a lot of it. This film is 2 hours long, and it could have been an hour and 30 easily. It's too much.
It is. I feel like this is the sort of... This doesn't even need to... This is a conversation that gets told on a journey as we're moving somewhere, not standing stock dead stark in the Croft Manor while these convenient agents know all this much, right, but apparently are unable... Know all this about Reese and Chen Lo and all of that, but unable to do anything about it.
Yep.
All right. But no one knows where it is, of course. No one knows where the Cradle of Life is. But Lara has worked out that the orb is the map, and they need to get hold of it.
Somehow. Yep.
The spear is the same orb that was stolen by Chen Lo, of course, and Lara agrees to help MI6 with the condition that she gets help. When the fuck does Lara Croft need help? When does Lara Croft go, I want a partner?
Yep. Never.
What the fuck is this? And this set my alarm bells ringing. I'm like, because even in the first one, she never fully teamed up with Daniel Craig's character.
No.
He was another person like her, another kind of treasure hunter with a little bit more sneakiness around it. They had a previous on-off affair, effective relationship, but they were always on opposite sides most of the time anyway. This felt odd.
Yeah, I got the impression that she always wants to know.
Well, that's how she always is. Yeah, she worked, so the idea that she was demanding that they release Terry Sheridan, who is currently in prison as a traitor after he left the Royal Marines and became a mercenary. Not a chance, he's a traitor. Traitor to the Queen, traitor to the Crown. Oh, shut up. Lara insists that she needs him as he is familiar with Chen Lo's criminal operation. And man, you talk about conveniences.
Yeah.
Wow, that is a convenience. But man, I'm just like, oh man. I knew where this was going. I wasn't looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Also, here, they may have banged once. That pretty much gets established when she gets him out of the prison.
Yeah.
Hello, Terry.
What do you think of my new place? It's not quite Croft Manor.
What's in it for him? Freedom and a clean slate. That's it. That's what she offers him. And together, Terry and Lara head into China via... I mean, this is dumb beyond dumb. This was so dumb. So via a dropped pod, what looks like a stealth craft or something, that gets dropped from a plane, crash lands in the sea, and then apparently is destroyed, so that's why the Chinese government can't track it. That makes no sense, because this thing does break up,
Yep.
but that still leaves remnants that the Chinese government will be able to look at and potentially work out where it came
I know, it's
from.
absolutely ridiculous.
But it's ridiculous how it's done. It's so stupid. It's like, really? You can just be smuggled in?
Well, they're trying to sneak him, so...
Smugglers exist!
It just makes no sense. They're trying to sneak him, so what do? You smash a spaceship in it or whatever it is into the mountain.
Right. No, it's the sea. Not into the mountain. Into the sea. Yeah, but they eject from it.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of thinking on that, right? I can just about live with that, right? What I can't live is you just hit the nail on the head. You're trying to sneak in. And again, I had my second. I'm done. I'm done with this. Because the dumbest thing of all is Lara goes and gets her gear, which is handily just with a small village who've been keeping her guns and motorbikes for her. Two motorbikes as well, like they knew. Because I mean, you get a woman who's like, oh, you must be really important because Lara normally works alone and you're her partner now.
Yeah, I got the impression that she seems to know everyone in every country,
Which I can buy because we had that in the first one to a certain degree. She's a nice woman, she's made friends, and she's made connections. No problem with that. The convenience of like why would you have two motorbikes?
I know.
Two motorbikes.
In case the first one breaks.
But basically, that's her and Terry. Cause Terry Sheridan is really fucking close to Teddy Sheringham, which when it first got said, which is a famous English footballer back in the day, when it first got said, I misheard it and went, wait, what? That's going to be an interesting one, but no, that's what's confusing. So they ride off. And bear in mind, remember, they're trying to sneak and not be noticed or anything like that. So what does Lara do? Rides her motorbike in the Great Wall of China. And I just went, this is...
Yep.
What are we doing?
It's just like...
What drives me nuts about it? As a person, while she might be a treasure hunter, she's all about preservation and respect. Riding a motorbike across the Great Wall of China is just so disrespectful. It's unbelievable. But it's all just to look how cool she is and then do a stunt jumping off the wall to land ahead of Terry.
Again, it's completely pointless. As you said, she's supposed to be this major history buff and treasure, and she's destroying history,
I hated it. It was so dumb. But this, like I said, I think the movie is on a constant downhill trend from here.
Yeah.
Because on their way, trying to work out where Chandler's location is, Terry decides to broach the subject about their past relationship. And holy fuck, these two have the chemistry of two planks of wood. Banging against each other.
Yeah.
Banging. I would not be surprised if in the shooting that they didn't really like each other or get along. Because they literally, there's nothing about this that feels relationship.
It looked that way. I mean,
I'm not saying that's true. I've got nothing to base that on. It's just the lack of chemistry really, really puzzled me. My God, remember the chemistry show Daniel Craig?
Yeah.
That was solid
good.
shit.
That was good.
This is the complete opposite.
Yeah, I mean, other than 300, Jared Butler hasn't really done many good films, and
He's done a lot of disaster movies.
yeah.
But there you go. But they get captured by Chen Lo's men. But it turns out this was all part of the plan, because the only way to find Chen Lo's lair is if you're taken there.
Cool.
Right, okay, alright. Which is weird, because what it looks like is the entire side of a mountain. I feel like someone would have noticed that. You know? It's not that hard to find.
What I also find likely too is that they all know how dangerous he is.
Yeah.
They're so casual around her.
Well, they are, but they're because they're badasses. Remember that. But they're also banking on the idea that money talks. Because I admit, I didn't quite expect them to go down the route that they do here, which is that Lara basically tries to offer Chen Lo more money.
Yep.
And I thought that was interesting. Chen Lo's ruthless. He's even considering selling the orb to her because it's about money. He's not a friend of Reese. Nope. He just wants money. So I was like, okay, that's kind of cool. Mm-hmm. That's a different take in it. But while alone in the chamber, of course, he then tries to kill Lara. And we get this, I don't know, it's an alright action scene where he tries, amongst all these terracotta army soldiers, and he breaks so many of them. I was like, because he's like, oh yeah, I'm smuggling these and I sell these and they're really expensive and all that. And they are terracotta warriors. And then he just proceeds to smash them apart while trying to attack Lara. It's not an action scene. There's a little bit too much slow motion for my liking, but I don't mind it.
Yeah, it was okay.
However, because this movie doesn't seem to know what tone it's going for, it then reaches a point in this fight that I thought was so dumb. I made Lou watch. Watch this. This is the dumbest thing of all. Lara gets an old school rifle and basically uses that to defend against Chen Lo, who's using a pair of swords. But as she fights him, she basically starts to do military maneuvers using the gun. Yep. So like British military maneuvers where you're spinning around. The stances at the same time. And I thought I was imagining it. But do you know how I know I'm not? The music. The music followed along the beats that's going like that as well.
I didn't even.
And I was like, oh my God, this is the dumbest thing. This is so dumb. This is so dumb. I hated it. But of course Lara wins and learns that the orb is in Shanghai, China for the handover. And she plans to leave Chen Lo alive, which is a terrible idea considering if he didn't do what he does next, he would just obviously then contact Reese and say, hey, she's coming. Yep. But he tries to shoot her, somehow misses, fucking misses. So she turns around and stabs him with a knife and kills him. I do like that. I do like the fact that she isn't afraid to kill.
Yeah. I mean, she gave him his chance.
He blew it.
Yeah,
he blew it, yeah.
Done a stormtrooper missed.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, Lara and Terry fight and shoot their way out. Everyone has that awful aim. They're sliding down headfirst down some ropes. There's a real error here, if you notice it, folks, which is the ropes aren't actually moving. Nope. But yeah, don't talk about that. Yep. And the people down below can't shoot them somehow. Whatever, it's stormtrooper aim, as you say. Yeah. They then head up to Shanghai to try and interrupt the deal, contracting Hilly and Bryce to look into the medallion that she took from Chen Lo. She took it from Chen Lo here. So she has the medallion and tells them to look out for her. Bryce immediately works out, well, Lara knows it's a key, but Bryce immediately works out somehow, based off an image of a person playing a trumpet on it, that sound activates it or plays a part in it. And I was like, how the fuck did you get to that?
Because he's a genius, apparently.
How would you get to that? Okay. Anyway, that night in Shanghai, the deal is taking place as Terry and Lara watch from a building nearby. Chen's brother Zen, who apparently hasn't heard that his brother's died, even though it's now night, is trying to hand over the orb to Reese, who is arriving in a helicopter. Lara and Terry tried to stop the handover. More blasé action here. Did nothing for me.
Nope, pointless.
As Zen gives the orb over, but Reese betrays him and kills him. So both the brothers are out of this movie. Yep. What did you think of the whole Lara using the... what do they call it? High jump stick. That stick to the land on the side of the helicopter. And not get hit by the blades, apparently.
I watched her first, and then I went back and watched it again. I thought, she's going to go straight into that
How
blade.
funny would it have been? And then it just like The end.
Yeah, ridiculous. The fact that he didn't even notice her putting a tracker on the box.
No, yeah, because of course she puts a tracker on the box. So yeah, absolutely.
That's ridiculous.
So I have a theory. As to why they keep throwing in these insane, over-the-top moments for Lara. I have a theory that they were panicking because basically Terry is her equal. Terry is her equal. I'm going to bring it up here. In action, he fights and survives as much as she does. Whereas if you remember, Daniel Craig was a slimy git who basically only got through life by selling people out. It's not the case with Terry Sheringham. He's Terry Sheridan. I did it again. Terry Sheridan. Terry. I'm just going to say Terry. It's easier. Yeah. He seems to be Lara's equal. And I said to my wife, I said, how the fuck have they fucked this up? By making him her equal, she now looks ordinary.
Yeah.
But also, like, how is that empowering? Lara Croft, tough, action-packed, but also a realistic woman who just happens to be well-trained and able to fight and all of that. To make up for that now, they've gone, right, we'll keep giving her these over-the-top, absurd stunts that no human person could realistically do and survive, or at least come away unhurt. Because she's always perfectly fine after it. And I was like, is that how you're going to try and make up to make it seem like, oh, because Terry couldn't do that? Nobody could do that.
No, exactly. It's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. And it really hurt her overall. Just like tying into that, the idea that she would have this... I mean, I have no problem with her having emotional value, because she had some to Daniel Craig. She obviously had her father stuff in the original. But here, there are times, later on, more than anything, I think that she comes across a little bit weak thanks to those emotions.
Yes.
And I thought it was a little bit unfortunate that that's the development to go to. Because, and I would have been okay with it had Terry been a character that meant something.
Yes.
But he doesn't. He really doesn't. Hong Kong now. Lara and Terry manage to find the orb in a lab they infiltrate, a lab that's underground and hidden. However, in the infiltration, Lara is captured by Reese and his men. Reese now does the great villain thing. I will tell you my evil plan before killing you. He's going to unleash a plague, saving one of those people he deems worthy. And I was like, how the fuck did we get to that?
I know.
That's a bit like super villain. Villain, and what his whole selling the thing is villainous enough. Why do we need this extra thing? I don't know. And he's about to kill Lara, but she's saved by Terry. And I was like, oh, great. And this is a good example. What a hero she is. Why is she not fighting her own way out?
That's it. Yeah.
She's saved by Terry. She's saved by the man. I don't like it. You're trying to do a whole thing, well, even Lara Croft needs help. Get in the bin! Get in the bin, man! Don't have her being saved by the dude.
Yeah, it's like they're trying to also force a emotion for the guy.
But this isn't that though. This could, if he was just her friend, it wouldn't make no difference. It's her being saved by the dude, and I just don't understand why not have her fight her own way out. Her name's in the title.
Oh yeah,
it's not fucking Terry Sheridan and Lara Croft, Tomb Raiders. Yep. You know, unbelievable.
I'm sorry, Lara. You would have been welcome in my world.
Piss off.
Shoot her between the eyes. No mistakes.
They take the orb and escape by using wingsuits. And here again, I have to say what I now begin to notice. It's all fluff, no substance. We're going from what it seemed like they wrote, right, in the script, the big sequences they wanted. We'll have this action sequence in the temple. We'll have this bit where Lara uses a high jump stick to land on a helicopter. Well, we want to... Let's get them in wingsuits.
Yep.
Let's get them in wingsuits. And then they didn't need to get to that. Problem again here? It's Terry's idea.
Yep.
He set it up. Lara doesn't know how to get out of the fucking building.
I know.
This is his setup. And she doesn't... She thinks they're parachutes at first. I don't know what they're doing with her.
I mean, she's definitely taken a back seat.
Right now, yeah, absolutely.
But I mean, this whole scene again is ridiculous.
I didn't like it. It's drawn out. It's done in a way as well because, of course, it's not the two actors.
Yep.
But hey, we need to move the plot on.
Of course.
On a boat out of China, Lara and Terry continue to showcase their lack of chemistry on the boat, but start to kiss and roll around. And I was like, oh, cool, sex scene,
yep.
Awesome. However, Lara is unwilling to trust him and handcuffs him to the bed and tells him to go enjoy his new life. And we get this really deep, really emotional scene because she's worried that greed will get the better of him and she will have to kill him. And I was a bit like, he's not really giving you any reason not to trust him, though.
Nope. He's literally done
everything.
He saved you 3 or 4 times. You know, he's bloody In fact, he's done everything. What have you done, really?
Even here, he gets the orb and he brings it to her and he's holding it and he's talking to her. I don't know, maybe they could have done a thing, right, where she looks at his eyes while he's got the orb and she sees the makings of greed.
Yeah, something
that she used to. And maybe even call it back to Daniel Craig. But problem is like Indiana Jones, often. And I guess maybe that's what we're going for. The events of the first movie have no bearing on the events of this movie. Which, is a mistake, I think. I think keep them all tied in together. The next day, Lara sends the information from the orb to Bryce back at Croft Manor and find the location of the Cradle of Life, which is in Kenya, Africa, near Mount Kilimanjaro. So off they go. Yep. Cool, I was happy enough with the location change because a lot of this was taking place in China.
I'm okay with that. I love the area because it's a beautiful country.
Yep.
I love it. But this scene here pissed me off so much.
Which scene?
The scene how she conveniently lands perfectly in the Jeep, and calls the geezer. I'm going to be here at this exact minute. So make sure you're there at the exact time, spot, a minute, because I'm going to land right there.
I'm okay with this because this is very similar to stuff they did in the first film.
I know, but it's just so convenient, and it's like
but at this point we're like an hour and 20 minutes into this near 2-hour movie. Do you not just want to get there?
But what if she got delayed? What have you run out of petrol or diesel? What have he had to stop? Oh shit, she's delayed by 10 minutes. I better park up.
Yeah, he'd just wait, wouldn't he?
Yeah,
of course. You're overthinking that one.
I know.
You are overthinking that one. Anyway, there she meets up with a long-time friend, Kosu. But meanwhile, Terry, apparently not willing just to let her go off and live his new life, has found out where she's going via the weird scene we had. I brushed over it where she went into like a family's boathouse and asked to use their TV, and they had an old TV, and somehow she was able to connect all her technology up to it to be able to speak to Bryce back in England. Yeah, odd.
Special public one too, apparently.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And because we can't hang around too long and try to find the Cradle of Life, it's done simply. Lara and Kosa visit a local tribe and find out where the Cradle of Life is. Oh, they try and warn her off, what's it called, don't go near it, whatever, and so on. But she's like, worse people than me are coming, and I'm here to stop them. And they're like, oh, cool, all right, lady. Lady Croft.
We'll show you who it is. Who cares about the end of the world, because we trust you.
Yeah, of course. The chief reveals the Cradle of Life is in a crater, one that is protected by the Shadow Guardians. Fine.
Yep.
I was initially intrigued because I'm like, Tomb Raider's always had fantasy elements as well. I think they fucking suck, but we'll get to that. They head off with some tribesmen who are leading them the way, but they're ambushed by Roosa's men who has followed her.
Yep.
Okay, cool. We need to get to the end. I'm okay. Let's just get there.
Yeah.
Reese does try to bargain with her about the location first before revealing that his men have captured Bryce and Hillary. Didn't want to show us that scene?
Nope.
Didn't want to show us how they captured him? No.
Too much money to pay him, so just say it.
A lot of synopsises of this movie, if you read, actually describe that apparently they infiltrate Croft Manor and capture them. So much so that when I had to go back and check to see if I missed that sequence. It's not in the movie.
No,
it's not in the movie. It's not in the movie. I presume it's a presumption that, of course, they went there because they must have gone there.
Yeah, of course.
Why would you not show that brief scene? Because what you could have then had as well is had a similar scene to the first film in that they infiltrating Croft Manor, maybe do it during the day for that, and have Bryce and Hillary in a brief bit of action as they try to defend themselves but inevitably get captured. That would have been interesting, right?
Yep, definitely.
Absolutely. Wanting to save them, of course, and upon the insistence of Kosa, Lara agrees to show Reese and his men where the Cradle of Life is. Meanwhile, Terry arrives and rescues Bryce and Hillary, planning to use Bryce's little helicopter skills to get in and get Lara out, because he's the saviour of this film.
I know, but literally he's got 2 hours experience of driving a helicopter.
Well, he knocks up, he goes for this boring ass like, oh yeah, I've got 160 hours. I'm like, I don't give a fuck. Just say, I know how to fly a helicopter. If we're going to that anyway,
I know.
just do it.
There's a film, with the geezer from Keenan and Cole. He's like, I've got 150 hours of flight simulator. And that just reminded me so much of this. I played it on the PS2.
Of course, exactly. It's a silly joke and all that, but if he's going to be doing it anyway, just fucking get to it. And why wouldn't the likes of Bryce and Hillary have that kind of training? They're with Lara Croft.
I agree. But I'm surprised that I'm surprised Terry couldn't fly.
It's just a dumb.
I'm surprised. He could do everything else.
Actually, you have a very good point. You're absolutely right. Reese and his men and Lara arrive at the crater and get attacked by the Shadow Guardians. This is done in really dark scenes, jump cuts. It's really hard to see monsters that appear in and out of wet patches on dead trees. I struggle to follow this sequence at all. And it seems to just be there to kill off most of Reese's men, his goons. But Lara does find what is supposed to be the keyhole and drops the orb in, which gets rid of all the creatures. They disintegrate and the entrance to the Cradle of Life opens.
Yeah.
Didn't like it.
Horrible.
Couldn't follow it along. When again, I contrasted the first movie and some of the sort of fantastical action sequences there. I felt like I was able to watch that and follow that along and see what was happening. Here, I'm like, huh? What? Because it's dark, it's fast.
Yeah, it seemed to be. It was very rushed too. I think. I think this was a scene they could have added a bit more time to it.
Yeah.
But literally, I mean. The creatures looked horrible from what you could see.
Yeah, poor
the
CGI. Yeah,
horrible,
it was aged badly. It's
Yeah.
a 20-year-old film as of this year. Yeah.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Yeah, there is that. But then there's an argument to say there's plenty of CGI around that era that has held up.
Yep.
You know. Or check this. Don't use CGI.
Yeah.
Great. Use practical effects. So yeah, Lara and Reese go into the cradle, and it's a weird place, a labyrinth that's kind of got crystals, crystalline sort of walls and things, where the normal laws of physics basically seem to be out the window. It's very much a bit of a mind trip where, you know, you're upside down on one stage and on the side of the wall the next and stuff like that. You're laughing.
Because when I first saw it, I thought, they're going into Doreen's vein from Lord of the Rings, actually, the move on the wall, and it's all lit up and beautiful.
Okay,
But, yeah.
okay. I didn't quite get that, but yeah.
Lord of the Rings fans.
Yes. Inside they find a pool of black liquid, which turns out to be highly corrosive, which apparently links back to one of the myths about Pandora's box. And the box is sort of floating in the centre of it. Reese is like, get it, trying to force Lara to get it. But of course, now she's waited this long, she decides to fight back and escapes into another part of the labyrinth where those odd physics kind of disorientate him and allow her to get the jump on him in a bit. But along comes Terry, who's now followed them this far, and he uses his gun to get the box. It's a kind of good showcase of how corrosive the liquid is.
It is, but I just don't get how this old man can
hold his own against Lara Croft.
It's just a joke. He's got one gun against this superhuman woman.
Yeah, here's the thing. We'll bring it up now as well and remind you that the villain of this movie is incredibly boring. And I've got nothing against Kieran Hines. I think he's a decent actor. But he's got no substance here, no meat to his bones. When I contrast this to Ian Glenn's really, really fun, one-note villain, like Kieran Hines just does. And you know what? Do you know what Kieran Hines' problem is? He's got a nice face.
He has, but I don't think he gets enough time.
He doesn't get enough time, which is crazy when you consider the length of the bloody movie. He doesn't have enough time to really be a strong villain. But what I don't understand as well, right, is why when you had Til Schweiger, who was effectively his number two, gone from this movie completely now, why was he not used up to this point to be the muscle? So you've got this, businessman, he's a bit of a coward, not that tough, but then you've got the muscle. So Lara has to deal with the muscle first before dealing with this.
His screen time has got to be about 20 minutes.
Oh, if that.
I mean, there seemed to be more emphasis on like showing her hair burn. What that I don't get. It's like, this is the bad guy. He should be at least majority of the film.
Yeah.
But
no, I agree as well. It's just there seem to be simpler ways to do this, and they kind of don't do it that way.
Do you think it could have been like a cost issue? Maybe it was too much, but no.
No way. Because I think the cast overall is a downgrade this time around.
Yeah.
And I realise Daniel Craig wasn't James Bond back then and stuff like that, so he wasn't that expensive. But I think personally it's a bit of a downgrade this time.
Yeah.
I do. But they fight. Reese manages to get his gun, but Terry distracts him. Woo! Go Terry! Forget it, man. Terry Sheridan, Tomb Raider, The Cradle of Life. Lara, get out of this movie. It's all about him. But Lara uses the opportunity to knock Reese down and throws him into the acid pool, which kills him. What I felt was a jokey tribute to Terminator 2.
Oh yeah.
At the end, where the T-1000, of course, ends up in the not liquid nitrogen, the lava. The molten lava.
Yeah.
And obviously I felt like we got that here. I liked it because it was a momentary bit of uber nastiness.
Yeah.
Problem is the CG shit.
Yeah, probably.
It is not very good. Terry and Lara reunite, and because nobody gets hurt in this movie, they just have bants. Alright, you. Alright, love. He then tells her that Bryce and Hilly are okay. Who cares? They're barely in this movie. She thanks him and they kiss, obviously, because Lara Croft. This is the Lara we've now got. And she says it's time to leave. But, of course, he wants to take the box for himself. In fact, he seems shocked that she doesn't. He thinks it's a reward.
When it's worth a fortune.
Put it back.
No, I don't think so.
It could kill millions of innocent people.
Now you're being dramatic.
Put it back.
No!
It holds a killer disease. What possible reward? This is what fucks me off the most about this.
Yep.
This isn't something you can sell. He's like, oh, you sell it and get loads of money. Person that's going to buy that is likely to be a megalo evil person.
Exactly.
If you kill the world, your money is pointless. What the fuck? And this comes out of nowhere.
Yep, complete nowhere.
If they, as I said earlier on in the boat, how do you not drop hints throughout that greed might get the better of him?
That would have been it, yeah.
But my God, this feels like it comes out of nowhere. Mm-hmm. She looks as shocked as we are. I just thought it was so dumb. And they argue, but she ends up shooting him dead because basically he leaves her no choice. And I was like, oh no, Terry.
There was that one point where I thought, is she really going to let him go because she loves him? That's what I thought. Is she really going to? But then I thought, no, of course not. They can't do that. So.
I mean, I'm going to put it out there, but there is another way to deal with this. Shoot him in the leg.
Yeah.
Then drag him out. Leave the box. I presume it will close up directly afterward, or take the orb and then, tourniquet his leg, send him off to an ambulance, take the orb, make the orb disappear, bury it, get rid of it, and so on, so nobody can ever access the Cradle of Life again.
And throw him back in his jail cell.
There you go. There you go. And he's still alive, but no, kill him instead. But there you go. Anyway, Lara then looks upon the box and she was tempted to open it. Actually does just a sliver, which I thought was like, isn't that technically opening it then? Doesn't it just escape out? Do you have to open it fully for it to work?
A little peek.
But she comes to her senses and puts the box back in the pool and leaves. Outside, she breathes in the sun and reunites with her companions. We get some final jokes with Bryce and Hillary being prepared to be married off. They get made up by the tribe. And they're like, oh, we look all pretty and all that. And then she's like, oh, yeah, this is a wedding. Or the guy's like, oh, this is a wedding ceremony and all that. And they're like, oh no, let's run away. Stupid.
Yeah. And then Rimmer says, run.
He does indeed. And that's how the movie ends, with a little bit of lightheartedness, which was perfectly fine if I'd enjoyed the journey up to this.
Yeah.
Right, this movie is a bad movie. And my biggest thing is that it starts off strongly and it's all downhill from then. Any minor peaks that we do get are always ruined by elements that I just don't think work for me personally. I do not like what they do with Lara Croft here. I do not like the character of Terry. I do not like how he's played. I dislike heavily how he saves Lara more times in this than anything else. I don't like the fact that they force this emotional connection that I have no connection to because I know nothing about their past. I enjoyed the idea that with Daniel Craig in the first film that it was more sex than anything else. Yeah. This seems to be love. But she never cared before she saw the opportunity to get him out of prison.
Yeah, exactly. So there's no indication. And at the end of the film, she didn't seem too bothered, to be fair.
No. And that's the problem as well. It's just done and dusted and we move on. Yeah. The overarching concept of Pandora's box and all of that, I am happy with. Mm-hmm. How it plays out and how it ties into this villain and his character is the problem again in itself. Yep. I also think the whole Cradle of Life thing is far too easy to get to. You get the orb, you go here, you put it in, that's it. Yeah. That seems really fucking simple when you contrast that with the puzzle system that existed in the first film. Tomb Raider had puzzles. This film has none.
Nope.
Has none. In fact, there's an argument to say a lot of it is convenience and that Lara just gets lucky. Mm-hmm. Lara just gets lucky.
Yeah. And as you said near the start, we don't expect to be constant under tombs.
Of course.
It is Tomb Raider. This is all over land, really. Apart from the beginning, 2 minutes, 2 minutes, and this little the box thing. That's it.
There is a massive section of this movie that takes place in China, and buildings. Specifically Shanghai, both at night and during the day, and in Hong Kong as well. I don't know if this is the case with this movie, but I know a lot of films would do that because they often get funding or they're trying to appeal to the Chinese market, so they will put a lot of their film. Transformers did that and stuff like that. That may be the case with this. I don't mind that. Shanghai is a wonderful city, a beautiful city, Hong Kong, all that. And it ties into, I always like Lara jet going around the globe. They did it in the first one, and it was really pleasing to go to Kenya, for example, as well. I would have liked a little more time there, if I'm honest.
Yeah, definitely.
And see a little bit more elements like that. Those are parts I do like. Whereas I thought the first film was a solid 6, maybe a 7 out of 10.
Yep.
This is more like a 4 or 5 for me personally.
Yeah, so I mean, you said it best. You know, I went into this film expecting positives.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I was so disappointed. Man.
Yeah, that's the thing. Maybe that was our mistake, is that because we enjoyed the first film, we went into this with a little bit more hope, a little bit more interest, and we've come away stung by it. That's our fault, I guess.
Yep, yeah, definitely.
Thing is, we're not done with Tomb Raider. That's the thing. This is the end of the Angelina Jolie Tomb Raider. But of course, there is another Tomb Raider to be covered in the future, which is the new movie based around the new version of Tomb Raider. I have seen it already. Thought it was really dull. But we'll get to that further down. Maybe I'll have a different view when we do it for it. But for now, this is Lara Croft Tomb Raider, The Cradle of Life. You got any thoughts and you know what to do? Let us know in the comments.
Thank you very much for watching. If you liked what you saw, please help us out by giving us a thumbs up and hitting that subscribe button. If you really liked what you saw, consider donating to keep the website and channel running by buying us a coffee via our coffee page or picking up some merch from our Big Cartel store. You can check us out on gbhbl.com as well as via our social media, Facebook, Instagram and Twitter, as well as listen to our interviews via SoundCloud, Apple Music and Spotify. Just search for GBHBL. Games, horror and heavy metal. What else is life for?